welcome to another live stream on this faithful Friday evening. Today we have boxes from Prusa. So yeah, these just arrived today. Oh, I got to check that I'm not showing you shipping labels. These are back here. We got this box, but also we got two more boxes. So the Mad Lads, well, actually Mikuláš is responsible for that. The Mad Lads have not just shipped me a Prusa Mini, they've also shipped me their entire Prusa Mint assortment. So there's one, and there is another. So this is all the filaments they have, all the different colors, types, and all of that, which I will be using in the beginner series that I have talked about yesterday. So I mean, considering this one is kind of heavy, I think that's the Mini. So yes, that is what we will be digging in today. I finally got one. Yeah, again, this is one that was provided by Prusa, because when they originally announced it, when they originally announced it, 3D Maker Noob actually did the smart thing and was like, oh, dude, I'm gonna order one. And by the time I realized that I should maybe order one as well in case they don't provide a review sample, it already had like half a year lead time. So these guys, if you order them right now, they are shipping in September. So it's a 4-month lead time, which still is pretty rough. But, well, here's me hoping that you know, the current lead time is just a result of a bit of a COVID-19 shutdown, and things will kind of relax in the near future. Yeah, so the intro music, if you caught that, that's actually the Czech national anthem on the version from Epidemic Sound, which I think is actually a really nice anthem. So yeah, let's start digging in. So, oh, that camera is off. I still need to plug that in. 1 second. There we go. Top camera. There we go. The Prusa Mini. So obviously when you see the hexagon tape, it is a Prusa box. And this kind of has been, I guess, the go-to beginner hype, more or less, printer. Where it's like, hey, you need a reliable choice, one that you can't really go all that, well, let's do this one, that you can't really go all that wrong with. Just grab this guy. It's not the cheapest, so I don't know what, yeah. So there is the spec that I got. So there we are. We've got the Mini. Color in orange, you can choose whether you want it in orange or in black. This one has PI plus the textured one. So the textured, oh, I've actually got the ones from the Mark III here. So that's the sheet you know from the Mark III. That's the powder coated textured sheet. The default sheet that ships with the Mini is this one, which is just spring steel with a sticker basically on it, with a sheet of adhesive and then a film of PI. They both work. This one is a lot more robust. This one can stick a bit better in some cases. But yeah, it is fragile, as you can see. I think somebody parked a hotend in there. So these are a bit more fragile than the powder-coated ones. Catherine Morton saying, thought he already unboxed it. No. This is my first time actually. There you go. My first time actually digging into a real Prusa Mini. So there is the option. So yeah, looks like there's space for a filament box, because the other option that you can do, that you can choose for shipping, is to include some filament, and I guess that's the spot that they're going to put it in. By default, it just ships with a sample. So this is some purple and black PLA. It's the Galaxy Black and the Galaxy Purple, and it does have the QR code on it, which is Prusa's way of tracking. I'm shaking. I'm excited about this one. which is Prusa's way of tracking when it was made, what diameters they measured while it was manufactured. But I mean, with 2 times 25 grams, that's not gonna get you very far. Okay, let me see. We get date May 28th. May 28th, this thing was packed. So this thing is absolutely fresh off of the assembly line. Congratulations on getting a brand new original Prusa printer. Pages to visit, get the manual, get the guides, get the drivers, buy more stuff. And if you run into trouble, there's the info at support. PrusaPrinters.org. Weight kilograms, what is that, 7.6. Scan me, so that's the, where that. Prusa cheat sheet, regular bolts, the ones that you may be using. PTFE lengths. Oh, that's all the bolts they're using on any Prusa machine. That's interesting. So this is basically, you know, if you've ever worked with Lego, then you know how that works. You just line up your parts with that and you know exactly what you have. Wish it was a full Cartesian. Well, technically it is a full Cartesian. But you get the 3D printing handbook, you get a set of stickers. A set of stickers. But that's not a mini. That's the wrong machine on the stickers. Oh yeah, and the classic wrap teardrop shape. That's a nice touch. Open hardware logo, and of course Prusa's face, which I hear is hidden somewhere, either in this box or in the filament boxes, or I've seen people post like their winky face cutouts. So we're gonna see what we need from this. So this is, yeah, full guide as expected. Then, one thing I really liked about the Mark, I'm not sure if they did it for the Mark II, but for the Mark III as well, well, for the Mark III for sure. This is the full test report for their testing during or after manufacture, after assembly. So it goes, oh, I guess it depends on which components you're looking at. But for example, the hot end, there's a graph here that actually shows you how the hot end performed. There we go. I don't think that's measured inside the printer, but it's just you know, a real test sheet for the components that are in this very box. It's not just a generic, yeah, quality passed. It's actual measuring data for your machine. So that's great. You get a you get a mini-sized pack of Haribo. Important, USB drive with firmware. See the handbook for instructions. Okay, so this is a different USB drive than to the one that you got with the SL1. And I'm guessing there are some sample files on this one as well, which we may be printing if there's a test file on there, but we're for sure going to be slicing our own parts. So we will keep this one over here near the computer. What else? Let's just start digging in here. So we have 2 little pouches here. Ow! Ow, what? Ow, something stung me. So we get the texture sheet. Wow. Okay, this looks a lot smaller in person than the dimensions kind of suggest. Because if you look at the dimensions, it's like, yeah, it's not that much smaller than, you know, the Mark III or a full-size machine, but it does look tiny. It does look tiny. It's a bit of a finer texture on the PI2 than on the Mark IIIs, but this might just be an old sheet. They may have changed their manufacturing process, because I know it takes a lot to get these right. Let me compare to, I guess back here we have the Ender 3. So maybe I can give you a bit of a, do I have a way to zoom in? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So back here is the Ender 3. And I can, that's the Ender 3. I can plop the bed on there and you can see, yeah, it is a good bit smaller than the common machines. I think the Ender 3 actually has like a 22 centimeter bed or something. So yeah, it is small. It is small. It's smaller than I expected. So that is the optional upgrade. I think this is an extra 30 bucks if you get it. And then this is the standard stock. Does the bubble wrap pop? I'll check that out in a second. That is the standard. God, no, Shamsha, no, not today. No, just let me stream in peace. Come on. I'll get to that in a second. This is the standard bed that is shipping with the printer. So it looks visually different to the one that I got with the Mark III. It is a lot darker. I think that's because this is just plain spring steel and this has a coating underneath to prevent rust. And you can see this guy, yeah. This corner of the old, I don't know if they changed in the meantime, but the old Mark III steel sheets started to rust at some point. Yeah, there's a bit of corrosion. I mean, it doesn't impact function, but it just doesn't look great when you have these little rust spots or corrosion spots in the corners. So I'm guessing these now have a coating underneath, whether that's paint or something, but these should have a rust inhibiting. These should have some sort of a rust inhibiting property. Okay, let's get to that tip. Thank you, Shamsha, for the 100 bucks. It's like a regular occurrence now that this guy is throwing me off with huge tips, but thank you. Thank you. Again, I guess you're enjoying the stream, so I'll keep streaming. Cool. But these are the two bits that you get. So they're both two-sided. They're both dual-sided. This is PI on the, is there a visual difference? Side A, side B? No. So yeah, PI on both sides for both of them. So yeah, if you wear it down one side, you can just flip it over and you have a completely fresh surface again. So that's the mini bed. I'm actually going to try if we can fit the old Mark III beds, if those just will slot onto the mini, because it should be magnetic in the same way. Oh, and we also got the filament sensor upgrade. This is not a component that comes with the printer by default. This is something that actually it looks like it just clips on. So I'm assuming this side goes into, we'll see how it works. Yeah, I'm thinking this side goes into the extruder and it's just a little switch in here. Can you see what it is? I don't know, it's got 3 pins, so I'm thinking there is some sort of active component in there and not just a mechanical switch. But yeah, this is an optional upgrade. I'm not sure if I'm going to install it because a filament sensor is, in my opinion, unless it's like a really basic one, I think this is very much a luxury upgrade. So yeah, I don't mind not having a filament sensor, but it does make, the one thing it does do is it lets you use that last bit of filament on a spool. So yeah, it just means you're not going to have those last little 25 or 30 grams of filament left on a spool that you can't really use for anything. You can just chain those up for a sample print and just use up all those little bits. Power cord, you guys know how these look. Standard European one. We get a spool holder. Okay, interesting. So 4 bearings, anti-vibration pad, a bunch of screws. Maybe we can check this one out. Yeah, there's that. Maybe we can check this one out once we've got the printer going and built that. Because I've got plenty of spool holders behind me. No, that one doesn't have one. 1, 2, also no spool holder. Okay, I got 2 spool holders behind me. We can use those for now just to get this thing working as quickly as possible. And then we have a bunch of accessories. So this is the spares bag as well. We get a bunch of spare screws if you need to do replacements. Olive, so that's the PKFE coupler, I assume. Looks like it. Wrench, bit of lube, few zip ties. So just a few things to hang on to. I've not needed this one for the Mark III, I think. But then again, I do have like screw assortments and stuff. So if I ever do need a fastener, I just reach into what I have at hand anyways. Isn't the filament sensor just a mini switch? I guess you guys are figuring that out. How many Prusa Minis did I get? Just one, just a single one. I mean, they are trying to get these out to customers, to people who buy these. And yeah, they did send me 2 of the Mark IIs and 2 of the Mark IIIs when those were new, but that was a kit and an assembled one. So I was able to see how the assembly process works, and then if I screwed up, which I certainly did, I would have a machine that would work for sure, where they were taking me out of the equation. So yeah, I guess Prusa doesn't trust me all that much, which I have no idea why that would be. Where's my manual at? Did I already throw it out? Okay, we have a screen. So this one, you might look at, no, it actually goes like that. So it's open on the backside. That's interesting. LDOmotors.com makes that screen for them. That's interesting that it's that visible, that open. Usually manufacturers aren't that keen on people knowing where they get their stuff from, but apparently Prusa and LDO Motors are working together. I think the Mark III already uses LDO motors, and maybe aluminum profiles. They make those too. I don't know. But apparently this entire screen assembly is sourced or manufactured by LDO Motors. Interesting. Tom Fusion is SolidWorks. Fusion all the way because I can't afford SolidWorks. So little cable with a screen. We will use that when we assemble it. I know I'm probably skipping the how to unbox this thing, but I just want to dig in, and we'll work through the unboxing section of the manual in a second. So yeah, I guess to finish out why I've only got one mini and not a kit and a fully assembled one, there is only one way that these are being made and shipped, and that is in this mostly assembled version. I guess they've decided that supporting people through the build and providing customer support in the end is more expensive for this machine than just assembling every single machine right off the bat and kind of, again, taking the customer out as a point of failure. So you come out here. Nada's asking, do I use Blender for 3D modeling ever? Where do we grab this to not damage it? There we go. I do know some basic Blender stuff, and I occasionally use it for rendering stuff, but I don't use it for modeling. Right, there is the base of the Prusa Mini, the frame, the Y-axis. And yeah, this is as assembled as you'll get it. So basically the motor wire is tucked in down here, so it's hidden away and secured with a little rubber band. That's the word. Okay. Bearings are nice and lubed up. The rods are already all oily. Wow, that's kind of gross actually. There's so much lube on these things. There you go. You can see how that's just being pushed around. Look at that. Yeah, so they made sure that these things are properly oiled. It does feel very smooth. I gotta say that much. It does feel very, very smooth. Okay, that is the mostly assembled base. So the interesting thing is it is still 3D printed for the most part, which is something a lot of companies are moving away from. But since Prusa are making printers and are using the manufacturing for new printers as their test bed for seeing whether certain improvements are good or bad, or what the failure points are, they are making a lot of the parts on their machine. So the front here, the belt tensioner and idler, the entire back here is also printed. Yeah, motor mount is included, and then there's just these 2 aluminum rails on the bottom that are just standard. These are thicker ones. These are 30s. 30 millimeter aluminum extrusions. All right. Next, let's just take out this little box here. That feels like a power supply. Yes, Meanwell power supply. So I guess this is, I think in the interview that Murph, was it Murph? Was it Earth? Was it Murph? I don't know. Apparently this is like the standard 3D printed power supply now. 24 volt, 6.67 amps, 160 watts. Not sure if this is the exact same one as on the Ultimaker, but I'm pretty sure it is compatible. Same locking plug, same power supply that has worked well for a lot of other machines. Yeah, and that's the entirety of the box. So we just have the Z and X axis left. How do I set this down so we're not bending anything? Oh, it does stand up. It does stand up on its own, but I'm not going to trust that. So also a lot of 3D printed parts on this guy. That's the main board down here. That base is printed. Let me get you a better view with that camera, even though that is very dark. But why is that camera so dark even? Can't even make anything out. That's pretty dark too. God damn it, black filament. So kind of interesting organic shapes on the main board housing there. So, I mean, that's something you can only do with 3D printing really, or with a vacuum forming process, but I don't know if that's necessary. Don't really see anything there. Maybe it's for the cables that are plugged in to give those a bit of extra space. But that's down there, and I think that's actually going to be mostly hidden, will it? Well, there's going to be the screen in front of it. So you're not going to be... No, that's the back side actually. Okay, screen will go up here. So you won't... It's not front and center, but interesting. So yeah, obviously the orange bits on here are printed as well. The end of the x-axis, then this X and Y coupler piece with orange PTG, I assume, feels like it. And yeah, because it's a cantilever design with just a single z-axis. These are 10mm rods or something. Printabot has done that a lot, and some of the earlier and well, actually very similar price pointed printers just had that one z-axis where it's a single lead screw and a, with the x-axis not supported on that side at all. With just 8mm rails, that can be somewhat flimsy. They've got the extra 30mm extrusion up here. There is still going to be a, I guess, measurable, if you really have the measuring instruments for this, there is going to be a deviation in where the toolhead ends up over the entire height of the printer. Because these do ever so slightly bend, and it's good enough. Like I'm sure they could compensate for it in software if it was a real issue, but yeah, we'll see how well it prints. I'm more worried about like resonances and dynamic movements, but we will see how well it does. Quick look at the hotend. Is Printabot even still around? They were rebooted. So Printabot went bankrupt last year. There's a video about it on the channel, an interview with Brooke Drum. And they went through that whole process and are now back in action, more or less. So it's just Brooke and I think a friend or one more person. They own the rights to the name Printabot, and they are probably going to start making printers again. Right, so we've got the Minda sensor, I guess this one is called. So not the Pinda is on the regular Mark II uses it as well, right? Yeah. But the Minda looks very, very similar, and a proprietary hotend. So this is a hotend that is made by Prusa, or by a manufacturing partner for Prusa, and it's not the V6 that we're seeing from the Mark III. This is a Teflon lined hotend actually. So you can see the heat break right above the nozzle, right in there. You can kind of see that shimmering out, and that is thicker than what you typically see on an all-metal hotend, because there's a Teflon tube going all the way from somewhere up here, from somewhere in the heatsink, into the hotend. Means you can't really print with super high temperature materials. It does make it a bit more robust, like if it's not perfectly machined. There you can see the aluminum heatsink. That's an interesting shape. But yeah, I guess it's just cheaper for them to use this sort of a hotend. I'm pretty sure you can put in, yeah, it's all printed. So I'm pretty sure if you really want to, you can still add in your own hotend. But you know me, I'm not really a fan of upgrading machines and kind of relying on aftermarket upgrades to even get your machine working. So I will be giving this thing a good rundown and seeing how well it performs. Question about whether it's Bowden or direct. It is a Bowden system. As you can see, there's the Bowden tube right there. Extruder is sitting on here. On the Z block carriage, which is like 5 different layers screwed together, sandwiched together. This is a 3-to-1 geared extruder. I don't know if it's I think it's just a single gear. Yeah, you can kind of see in there. Absolutely, yeah, so it's a 3-to-1 geared. I don't think it's a dual, well, 2-sided pinchy boy, but we'll see how well it does. I think in combination with a Teflon land hotend, like you're not expecting like super duper highest performance, but should be adequate. Should we get to assembling this guy? Any mods around here? Is this a Noctua fan? It's not brown and beige, so I don't know, but we'll see how loud it actually turns out to be. I'm going to set this down real careful for now. That's good. So let me dig into the manual. Mini isn't based on the Ender 2. No, I mean, what are they based on? I guess Printabot really was the first one that did that cantilever design, just, you know, rotated 90 degrees. So I guess technically they're all based on those, but you know, going for a, hey, this is based on that at this point is kind of pointless. So there's an old photo of the print farm, how it used to be. I mean, this is probably a year old, and they've doubled their, it's probably more than a year old by now, this photo. They've doubled or tripled their capacity in printers. Please be cautious when doing any interactions with the printer. Is an electrical device. Indoor use only. Place the printer on a stable surface. Household power. Don't stumble over the power cord. Do not disassemble the power supply. Don't reach inside the printer while it's still in operation. That's interesting because this thing doesn't really have an inside and an outside. Do not leave the printer unattended while it's still on. Yeah, I think that's one that almost nobody is gonna follow. But just in case you do leave it unattended, they told you. Introduction. I'm guessing that's really the manual, the handbook, yeah, user manual. Because with the Mark II and III, what they did was they supplied 2 different booklets. So they supplied the handbook, which was a more generic. Do I have one of those here? No. More generic, hey, okay, so if your print doesn't stick, do that. If you want to load filament, do this. It's kind of like a general walkthrough of the 3D printing process. And then they had the actual manual for the printer, which for the kit obviously was the assembly manual, the full thing, and then the calibration manual at the end. Maybe for the assembled ones, they always, I don't remember. They just had the handbook and not the full assembly manual. But with this one, you just get one book. Glossary, the parts that you have on the printer, cool. Right, compact, smart, and affordable. Please check prusa3d.com/drivers for the updated version of this 3D printing handbook. Should we do that? Yeah, I guess let's do that so we can kind of show you guys through, and you get I mean, you can't read that, right? Prusa 3D dot com, okay, /drivers. So handbook, that's the wrong printer, that's the right printer, so handbook 1.0.3, and we have, it's interesting, we have 1.3, if this numbering is correct, 1.3, and on this one it's no version number. So let's go for the updated one just to show you guys what's going on. If I press that button, that should get a bit bigger. Okay, that's the parts that are on the machine. Do I actually have I should be able to, there we go, there? No, that doesn't work. That works at least. Hey. Power switch, package content, handling, transporting the printer. Well, this one isn't assembled yet. Quick start, do not wash with running water. Do not peel off the PI sticker. Well, if you have to replace it, you still have to do that. Wipe the sheet with IPA. Ethanol should work as well. Spool holder, connect on the power supply. Unpacking and first start. Comes separated into 3 parts. Please flip this handbook to get to the assembly instructions and pre-flight check. Oh! Oh. Oh, okay. Okay, okay. Okay. That's okay, that's not dumb. Okay, I'll take that. Do we have a PDF version of that? Maybe if we go all the way to the bottom on this one, do we get this one upside down? Come on, scroll for me. Damn touchscreens. Do we get the assembly manual upside down? No, we don't. But this is, sorry if this is slightly confusing to look at. Okay, so that's not the assembly manual that we were looking for. So I'll have a quick look if we can find a kit assembly manual. Okay. Building your Mini. All right, so I guess that's the same instructions basically. It looks like it's actually a printed version of, look at that. There we go. What's that system called? It's the one that iFixit uses. It looks like this manual is just a printed version of that, which is interesting. Flip your laptop over. Yeah, I'm not really getting a good look at chat here, but be right back. Going to buy some Haribo. Mini bag of Haribo bears. Okay, only the Allen key is required for assembly. Okay, so we only need, not in here. This one we'll save for later. Where is no Allen key in here? Did I already misplace a bag? Well, I will just grab another Allen key we have. Oh, there it is, and the one that we need is missing. Okay, we'll figure it out when we get to it. Use labels for reference. Most of the labels are scaled 1:1. Download the cheat sheet. We are here for you if you need support. Please prepare XZ assembly, M3x40, M3x20, M3x12. Oh, it's in here. It is in here. Okay, but it's just labeled as a... That's the hex key. Okay. It doesn't look like a hex key to me, but it's still in here. No SD card, they ship it with a flash thumb drive. Yep. So SD cards are a thing of the past because this printer uses a pretty much all new 32-bit control system. 32-bit board, 32-bit processor, obviously 32-bit firmware that is developed in-house. There is some, what is that, surface cleaner? Isopropyl alcohol. This thing is probably worth like $10 right now. And a acupuncture needle. So hex key. This apparently is all we need. Spares. We don't need the spares for now. So is this really all that we need for assembly? 3 screws? 4 screws? So M3x40, got that. M3x20, that's this one, and one M3x12. So we have one spare M3x12. Note the second screw, we will use that later. Okay, so some early units might arrive with the Z-axis in the lower position. Ours is in the, so this is the base, so ours is all the way up already. The list continues in the next step. Prepare the Y-axis foam block or foam pads set. Okay, so that is these. These are, that's some thick foam. So I'm guessing these are used as feet and as rubber dampers. Might arrive with circular foam pads with a perforated foam block. Yes, that's what we got. In case your Y-axis assembly includes a PEI sheet, please remove it now. We do not have a PEI sheet or a bed on here. So this is just the bare bed. Oh, by the way, this is the same style Very Power, or whatever you want to call it, bed that we saw in the Mark III with the Mark 52 bed. I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get you a bit of a reflection, a bit of a view of how these heating traces are laid out. Yeah, you can just barely see it there. So there, where are we at? You can see that there's a discontinuity in the traces. So the traces go this way. That's the lines you see. That's the actual copper traces that heat up. And then on the outside here, there's a bit of a line. So the inside is a lower power heating zone and the outside is a higher power zone. So basically, as this bed naturally cools off more towards the edges, the bed is already compensating for that. So you get more heating power, you get a more consistent heat or heat up from this bed. There are just 2 zones on here as far as I can see. Yeah, it's split down the middle into a front and a back. And then there's this ring around here. So it's going to be interesting pointing a thermal camera at this guy and seeing how it compares with the Mark III and some aluminum core beds, because those are pretty good as well. Foam pads. Push the pads out of the block. So let's go ahead and do that. Made it more like a Mark 42 and combined it with the magnets of the 52. Yeah, so that you still get the calibration spots. So the previous Prusa printers, the full-size ones, use these spots where there's no heating traces that are picked up by the Minda probe on the toolhead for calibrating how square this machine is assembled. And in the Mark II, because it didn't have the magnetic metal flex bed that would sit over this entire thing, they would also level the bed using those because it just had a PEI sheet on that. On the Mark III, they still use those for squareness calibration, but do the probing and the leveling on the bed itself. So this is used with, or done with 16 points, a 4x4 grid on the Mark III, I think, on the newer firmware versions. So yeah, it's very similar to what's done on the Mark III on this setup. So yeah, we've pushed out the foam blocks. You will need 5 pads, okay, and we have 1 spare. So let's keep that as spares. Please focus only on the Y-axis. Peel the protective film from all pads. Lay the X-Y-axis carefully, the X-Z-axis carefully on its side, and then glue the first foam pad into the groove on the bottom side of the electronics box. So let's just do that step by step. So we get electronics box. That looks like that's where that needs to go. So lay it on the side. Don't want to pinch or break any cables here. This was printed without supports, but because you get foam in there, it's a bit of a that does lift it up quite a bit. There was a bit of an ooze bug in there. A booger, that's the word that I'm looking for. There was a bit of a booger in there. I'm not hoping to find any oozes in my printer box from Prusa, but you never know. Rotate the y-axis so that the heat bed is facing down. Put a soft pad or cloth underneath to prevent scratches. And that actually is not preventing scratches on the bed, that is preventing scratches on your... Actually, we do have some bubble wrap here. That is to prevent scratches on your table, because these screws, these M3 screws, these are sticking out. Somebody was asking early on whether this was actually the type of bubble wrap that pops. I'm going to answer that real quick. There's the bubble wrap. Pops, but it's not a very satisfying pop. It's more of a... I don't know. It pops, but it's not the type of pop that's really satisfying. Seeing Vector 3Ds here. Hello. Who else have I missed in chat? Probably a bunch of stuff. Trying to get this right. Twisted. No, I'm not going to do the pop-it routine. Okay. Glue 4 foam pads on the frame, like in the picture. Mind the correct orientation. So these are, so yeah, this one we did. So orient them where the cutoff sides are left to right. So let's go ahead and do that. And they go all the way up against the printed part. I'm gonna leave like a millimeter of space just in case this thing ever needs to come off. And yeah, that way it's not gonna be glued to the, is that printed with variable layer height? No, it just looked like it. That way I'm not going to peel off these pads when I ever have to do. Not that I expect to, but... What did I just do? Why is there sticky tape on this backer? All right, and one more. What? Did one of these not get the full amount of sticky tape? I don't know. Okay, so I guess at this point we can kind of give it a test and see how. Oh yeah, this is quite rigid foam. So Mark III uses, well, at least the first ones used a very springy rubber foot assembly. This is a bit harder. So we'll have to see how well this dampens vibrations. This table is a hollow core IKEA table, so it does amplify any sort of vibrations you get quite a lot, which is great for testing printers and seeing how well they did the engineering when it comes to stepper motors and stuff. But yeah, we will see. Make sure the Z-axis is in the upper position. If not, use your fingers, turn the lead screw, using your fingers turn the lead screw and move it. We don't need to do that. Release and remove the M3 screw on the box with the electronics. Okay, so that one we will undo. Interesting. We've taken apart this printer. Paper stone and foam, yes. I'm kind of, I mean, I've been doing that for years. I've literally got the same paper stones in my basement. I've got a full kitchen countertop with those foam pads underneath, and it's working great. I'm kind of feeling like an idiot not doing that video earlier. It was just so obvious for me in a way, but yeah, obviously congrats Stefan for the, or on the successful video launch. Okay, electronics box is open. Remove the printed cable cover. Lift the electronics cover slightly. Before removing completely, pull it first towards the vertical, release both pins from the slots. Okay, we got it out. No resistance, okay. Keep the box open. We need to connect multiple cables throughout this manual. Okay, so this one's not going back on for now. The thing is, like, this isn't standing on the box anymore. So I guess I'll lay it down on the side, on the back. Should be robust, right? Cool. LCD cable next. For this step, please prepare the LCD. Take the LCD cable and push it through the hole in the box with the electronics. Make sure the tooth in the connector is facing up. Okay, there is our hole. Where are we at? Camera, why are you so dark? Give me a bit more light here. One more. Yeah, there we go. Make sure the tooth is facing up. What? Make sure the tooth on the connector is facing up, but that's the other way that... How are you supposed to make sure the cable fold in the connector is facing up? The cable fold is facing up. Okay, let me just double check that this is actually the way that, yeah, okay. That makes sense. So there's our connector that we need to get into. You can see that notch on the opposite side, on the inside there. That's a bit of a tight space, but we can plug you in right there. I know you guys aren't seeing much, but it's kind of tight in here. The power cables are pushing against me. There we go. So that is plugged in right there. Mind the orientation of the connector, there is a notch. Okay, did that. From now on, proceed carefully when moving the Z-axis. The LCD cable is facing down and might get damaged. Okay. In order to protect the cable, please don't try any other orientation because it will complicate the assembly. So this is now being routed around this box. Was that the wrong set of cable? Nah. So we are routing this thing around the box. It comes out on this side. And then it goes around like that. Carefully lay the XZ assembly on the side. See the picture? So that's the other side. Don't stretch the cable. Yeah, I'm not pulling on it. Now tilt it back. Okay. Note that this is only a temporary solution. Okay. So we are basically wrapping and kind of clamping this guy in here just to kind of keep it out of the way. Something like this. That should be good enough for now. Hope they get black ribbon cable next time. Yeah, that would be nice. So I guess this is just for assembly. Read the following lines carefully. And they put that note in there just for me, right? You need to assemble all three silver M3 NE nuts in the Y-axis assembly with the correct counterpart holes in the XZ axis assembly. The total of 3 nuts. The first, the longest, on the right will be used to connect both parts together using M3x40. The second longest, will also be used to join parts. The third, the top of the extrusion, not visible, and we'll do that later. Okay. which will be in direct contact with the aluminum extrusions. The first nut fits inside the clamp. Okay, so in that blue area there, that's where we're going to line up one of these. They're calling them M3NE nuts, which is, yeah, these guys. These non-removable T-slot nuts. That's these two, and then there's one more down here. And this is actually what I heard when I had first picked up this box, and I was like, damn, there's something rattling in there. It doesn't sound good. I'm hoping it's not broken. I think these are the ones that I heard in there. Okay. Prepare the y-axis assembly. Move it all the way back to the right. Well, I guess if you want to look at it that way. Place the right M3E nut approximately in the middle of the extrusion length. That's not in the, it's not under the heat bed structure. Okay. So there, I guess, and then this one goes somewhere roughly there. Push both parts together and try fitting the clamp, the XZ assembly, directly on the M3NE nut, which you have moved to the center of the extrusion. Use the 40 screw to connect both parts. In case you can't reach the thread of the nut, wiggle the screw. Do not tighten the screw fully yet. Okay. Okay, so we're just doing the M3x40 for now. So these, this is going to be horrible to show on camera because you guys are probably going to be in the exact spot that I want to be, unless, yeah, there's no way you're seeing what I'm doing here. But basically there's the nut, and I'm looking at the two, actually I can show you what I'm doing here. This thing here, this, get over here, that blue mark thing, that's what I'm seeing from the top. And I can line this up visually. There we go. That snapped into place. Where's my screw? There it is. There's my screw. There's my key. There's my hole. Is that grabbing? Ah, something's grabbing. Yeah. That has grabbed onto the thread. That's nice. Okay. So these should be somewhat connected now. Yeah. Very good. So now I'm just hoping I don't have the other nut too far in the profile. We will see. So we did that. Don't tighten the screw fully yet. Okay, it's still kind of loose. Take the second one and push it all the way. Okay, so we should have left this one all the way to the front of the printer. Let me see, maybe it still slides out. Yeah, it still slides. So now we can just push this into place. And it stops. Okay. Whew. I'm kind of getting sweaty here. And this is the M3x20, yes. There we go. That should actually, because the nut is now, that washer looks weird. Because that nut is now in the right spot, that should grab, doesn't? Why are you not grabbing? Why are you not grabbing? All right, one second here. I'm getting way too sweaty here. Why do I not have my, oh no, there it is. Top, there. I have to take off the sweater real quick here. So, yeah, that nut is a bit hard to actually grab onto. Though I was hoping it would be somewhat easy because it's just, you slide it into place perfectly. Don't get excited there. So somehow, in theory, this should lock on. Maybe if I lay it on the side, maybe that's going to pop the nut just in the right space, just in the right spot. No? Come on. Does it slide out? No, it does not slide out. That was the other one. So I'm gonna try and get the screw out again and see if we can reposition it somehow. And I can hear it doing something against that nut in there. Mic is not switched back. Oh, thanks for the hint. I know this isn't how you're supposed to lay this machine down, but there we go. I'm being careful, right? So that's this. Oh, that is rather tight. Okay. So I'm just seeing if this screw actually just goes into the nut, and it's, yeah, it looks like there was a bit of a burr on the nut, because now it's going smoothly. And like just initially it was a bit tight to get in. So there is a bit of a bevel on this guy, so theoretically the screw should find its place. There we go, there we go, now it's grabbing, okay. Whew. Don't tighten the screw fully yet. Yeah, that's PTG. Now take the M3 and E nut in the upper part of the extrusion and slide it under the steel plate. Okay, that makes sense. So we've got, where are you at? There. We've got this nut right there, and this is just going to slide under this plate. There we go, and that's lined up. And we're going to grab, I think, one of the, yes, M3 by 12, just double checking. Grab that here and just screw it in. If you would grab, there we go.
Hey Thomas, keep up the great work. Did Amazon ever reinstate your affiliate account?
Thanks for the tip. The EduTech, no, they did not. They did not reinstate my affiliate account. I had to sign up and reapply for an entirely new account, which means all the old links that weren't done through Genius became obsolete. I lost a bit over a month of affiliate earnings on Amazon.com, and yeah, I had to spend like a week or two just replacing old links that were now obsolete and, you know, just pointing to Amazon without actually being affiliate links. So yeah, apparently Amazon was doing a bit of a spring cleaning. I mean, I was hearing stories like that where just people's accounts were just suspended for bullshit reasons, and yeah, kind of the same for me, where it was like, oh yeah, it was fine for like 4 years, and all of a sudden it's like, nah, well, you violated our terms, so we're just gonna take $1,500 or something from you, and have you replace all your links, and, you know, just you know, saves us some money. You'll come back to us. Anyways, yeah, thankfully this printer, is this printer on Amazon? I don't think it is. No, I hope it isn't. In this step, we will move the entire XZ axis, avoid pushing. So we're not, don't tighten the screw fully yet. Okay, so we're not tightened down yet. You'll move the entire XZ axis, avoid pushing, grinding it against the aluminum extrusion. Or you might scratch it. Leave a small gap while moving the parts. Ooh. Rotate the back of the printer towards you and push the heat bed all the way to the front. Where do I grab this? There. Push it all the way to the front. Hold the Y-axis assembly and move the XZ assembly to the back. So hold this. I'm going to lift this up slightly. Ha. And we should be in place. This electronics box is kind of sticking off in a weird angle. So you can see that there's a, maybe you cannot, but right there, I'm seeing a bit of a gap. Maybe that top camera can see that. No, but it's just the geometry of that box. Wait, Daniel, what? You hold Alt on the live chat? Wow. God damn it, YouTube. Why did nobody tell us that? Okay, there is a notch which indicates the correct mutual position of both parts. Okay. Where are we at? Where is that notch? What? It's the Oh, I was sliding it the wrong way. Okay, that's why that box was looking weird. I've actually got to slide it to the front. There we go, and now there's that notch. Move the XC assembly to the back. Okay, that's weird. I guess front back is backwards. So I was moving the heat bed to the front, and then I gotta move the XC assembly to the back. But on the printer, front is that and back is that, so front and back is the same. Okay, and there's a little notch right there. Maybe you can. That's going to be horrible to show. Okay, basically there's a notch that just slots against the front piece of the lower frame. So all good, all good. Once the parts are aligned, tighten all screws in this particular order. Okay, so first the aluminum profile, then the long 40, and then the 20. So, okay, first. Ooh, that barely or perfectly clears. Cool, so should I worry about aligning this at all in like a, you know, that this thing is actually straight up? How much torque? Doesn't say. I will use, yeah, that's enough. That's enough for an M3. And then the 40, the long guy. That's tightening against plastic, so you don't want to over tighten those. And then this one is also, yeah, you can hear the PTG squeaking. This one is also tightening against plastic, so you don't want to give it a lot of torque either. So now this thing should be rigid. There we go. And thank you for the $2.99 tip, Tripods Garage. I will grab a, yeah, coffee or tea. I mean, I drink both, but usually I drink more tea than coffee. I'll grab one next time I get a chance. Thank you. Arrange the bears similar. Come on. Okay. Leave the others. Okay, but because we are following instructions, 4 Newton meters is, I feel, quite a lot against plastic. Haribo? Done. Okay. You guys want to hear me chew for 5 minutes? Note there is a protective film. Keep it on until the end to prevent scratches. I broke the rules. No, I just didn't follow the manual. So we can see there's a bit of ribbing in here, which is probably hard to make out, but there's like little subtle notches. Oh no, hold on. What? Was I muting myself? Oh, I saw. I'm sorry. I activated the wrong mic. That's my bad. That's on me. So we can lay this thing on the side. It is, I mean, this is not my preferred orientation for this printer because it's all going through the linear bearings and stuff. Also on the y-axis. But yeah, this is where the LCD goes. There's 2 nubs on this guy. And basically, yeah, the screen clicks into position in a few different orientations. So we just screw them together. And I guess there's already a nut embedded in this printed part. Yep, it's grabbing. So you can, it's not spring loaded. That would have been nice if there was like a spring washer or something in here. But instead you actually lock it in place. And I guess you can still force it. But I feel like that's, well, you can still force it. Okay, you don't need a spring washer. Interesting. We'll leave it at that roughly. That should give you guys a good angle to have a look at the screen later on. All right, and there was a 50 Czech crowns tip from Dominic. Thank you for all you taught me. I'm 17 and I know a lot of things about 3D printing. Thanks to you, I already have a job. Preparing 3D printers. Fantastic. Helping people get jobs. I didn't know I did that. Thanks for the tip. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining in. I wonder what I mean, that's Czech crowns. I mean, how many Czech 3D printing companies are there? Not that many, are there? Carefully remove the free end of the LCD cable from the box with the electronics and connect it to the board on the LCD. Mind the correct orientation. Okay, I mean, you can force it in, but you probably shouldn't. So this, just release. And then, I mean, the only real orientation that we can do is underneath, like this. Does this have a wire manage option? Right, okay, so insert the cable in the extrusion, carefully bend it into 2 halves along its length. Okay, so we first plug it in. We make sure we have the orientation correct and we're not twisting it. I'm guessing like this then. There we go. And then this goes over here. This folds into 2 halves. Okay, okay. I see where we're going. And then we just cram it in. So like that. I mean, it doesn't strike me as particularly elegant. Okay, I mean, it's not a moving connection or anything. It won't have to actually go in and out there. I'm gonna put some tape over that because I can't really stand that open look. Actually, let's do electrical tape, just to cover that up and make sure it's not coming out. Flush cutters, I guess those work. Just one quick piece of tape, I guess like that. And by the way, welcome David Underwood as a YouTube member. Great to have you along for the ride, for the stream, for the channel. Hi. Okay, nobody's going to see that. Nobody's seeing that. All right. Okay. So that is connected. That is arranged. I wish the cable was a bit longer because what we just did, just a centimeter more. That would have been nice. But yeah, connect the y-axis cables. Turn the printer back on its feet. We already did that. And rotate the back of the printer towards you. So back and front. I mean, it's pretty clear that now with the screen on there, it is. That's the front. Turning the what? And rotate the back of the printer towards you. Okay. Take the motor cable labeled Y. It's in here. And push it through the hole. Through the hole. Through the hole. Okay. Through that hole. Okay. So that's just going underneath the frame. We'll take this rubber band off. Does this machine get the new dimmable LCD screen? We will see. I'll give it a try and we will dig through the menu to see if there is any option like that. So that's just coming out like that. There's no cutout or no wire guide there. And then there's a little hole on the enclosure that lets you poke it through, like that. I guess that's pretty neatly sorted. And then there's really only one open connector on this guy. Nah, that's not. There's the buddy board. Oh, and that's not actually the connector you're supposed to plug it in. It's over here. Okay, great. So 4-pin connector, 4-pin receptacle. Did a bit of a click. There we go. All good.
You made me discover the wonderful world of 3D printing and am now spending all my days on it. I'm not sure if it's a good thing, but M3 it. Thanks.
But I'm M3ing it. Okay, that's a weird way to pronounce that. Yeah, well, welcome aboard to the 3D printing madness. I mean, you're going to learn something. You're going to learn some things, even. So glad to have you along. Thanks for the tip. And also thank you, Peter, for the tip. And I guess that's a YouTube animation that you can do? KO. Interesting. Interesting. I've not seen that one. So we've got the y-axis connected, which means at this point we should not be jerking this this bed assembly quickly. I mean, we can still. No, hold on. Now we've got the motor connected, not the bed yet. So yeah, if we move this, we might run into issues with the stepper drivers later on. So we'll leave it there. Take the cable bundle from the heat bed and guide it into the box from the top. There's no dedicated hole. There's no dedicated hole, so you can't. Oh, so there's just a cutout. So no wrong holes on this one. Take the cable bundle, connect the individual cables to the board, thermistor, and heat bed heater. Gently push the cables inside the box and position the wrap near the top left corner, where most of the cables enter the box. Wait, what? Push the cables inside and position the wrap near the top. Where's top and where's left on this thing? So I guess top and left. So but that's printer right. So hold on. So this goes on like that, which means this connects, well, this connects over here. Let's just plug it in first and see how we can wire manage this thing in a second. So these have a bit of a keying here. So there's this little notch right there, and that really indicates where you need to connect it. And then there's the clip that secures it on the other side. So to take this out, you actually have to press down on this. So during printing, during using, during shipping, these connectors have absolutely no chance of coming out on their own. So how exactly are we supposed to wire management? That's apparently I can't say wire management. What? Okay. Okay. So I guess like that. Just loop it around like this. Have 1, 2, that. That is, that looks all right. The cover has 3 little slots in the corner for 3 different bundles to fit through. Okay, so I'm guessing that's this corner right there. Because there are no other openings. Do I zip tie this down somehow? We will see in a minute. So position it like that. Okay, I mean, but that's basically how we did it already. Filament sensor. Does that really just plug in? Guys, filament sensor or no? Because I'm not sure if there's configuration involved. I thought like this would just be, but if it's really just plug it in and it works. Yes. There's one yes. Just plug it in. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, yes. Yes, you got me convinced. So filament sensor. So I'm guessing that's the 3-pin that's open here then. Yeah, so these are keyed. Again, so these connectors can have this little nose here. You can see it sticking up. You can barely see it sticking up. But up here, there's this little nose, and that can be in different positions. And that exists so that you can't plug in the wrong connector into the wrong receptacle. So even if you have several 3-pin connectors of the same style, that nose can be in different spots. And you know that'll prevent you from actually inserting it into the wrong one. I'm guessing that's all this is, right? There's the filament infeed tube. That goes in there. How far do I push it in? I guess until it's snug, and there we go. There's the, is that the entirety of the installation? Nice. Daniel, please don't repeat yourself. Sounds like you're stuttering. Okay, so that is connected. That pushes in. Tighten the screw gently. And this isn't going to slide off. You can tighten this one if you need to. Slide it through the filament sensor to make sure there is no deformation. So let's use a piece of filament. Do not eat. No, this one does not say, it says do not eat. I was looking forward to a snack. So filament goes into the sensor. This cut off. This is all. This filament end is already cut off at, there we go, at 45 degrees. That's a really nice shot of the Galaxy Black. So this, there we go, is going in smoothly, I'll say. So that's, I guess that's all we're going to use this filament for. Yeah, we've got, I mean, we've got the extra boxes of filament. It's like literally every single type of filament Prusa makes in there. So if we need more, we got it. We got it. Fully pushed onto the PTFE. Connected, we did that. So that was the 3-pin connector. Arrange it so it all goes out that back cover. Covering the electronics, so screw it back on.
Yeah.
What? Thanks for the 5 years later, man. Thanks for the laugh. Arrange the cables. Extruder bundle, heat bed bundle, filament sensor cable optional. So they have an order on the cover. Okay. So heat bed goes towards the inside of the printer and the sensor goes towards the outside. So basically, we're doing this, and then this goes underneath here, and then that, like this. But it's a two-step process, so you first put on the cover, the racy, styly, you know, there, there, okay. This one goes here. That goes there. Now, is the nut still in there? Yes, it is. I can see it. Now we need the cover. There's our cover. And that should lock all the cable bundles in place. Gotta say, this is a bit fiddly. Like it feels very much like an afterthought having this sort of cable management on there, but we got it on. Everything is in place, so this now just goes in here. If I can find the screw hole. Oh, it's further back. Okay. Thankfully, once that's all in and screwed down, we're not going to have to get in there anymore. Hey Max, I mean, I don't know if you've put it together before, or if you've done it on a live stream with I don't know how many people watching, and you know, trying to show stuff to a camera and try to pay attention to chat and all that. The thing is, you know, what an electrical engineer does is usually, you know, not assemblies like that. It's the planning that goes into that. Anyways, that's assembled. It's starting to look like a printer. I'm missing the bed. We've got filament sensor, we've got the Z-axis cabling done. That. This wrap is actually pretty interesting because it's on the Mark IIIs and stuff, they had just mesh sleeving, but this wrap actually has, it almost feels like it has a padding to it. It's almost like the automotive wrap that you'd find in your wire harnesses, and there is, yeah, it is quite substantial. So I don't know how much support this actually gives to the wires. Is there a piece of filament in here? No, there is not. So there's no filament actually to steer this cable and to give it a constant bending radius. I guess the wrap helps with that. We'll have to see how this holds up. It's probably fireproof. I don't know. Maybe it feels like it's like a hard nylon mesh. It may have some fireproofing additives in it. Tighten the second cover. Did that. Haribo time. Spool holder. We are skipping that. And we might do it once we're up and running and are printing, because again, we've got enough spool holders here already. Remove the protective film from the display, connect the power supply, place the PI sheet down, double check, and you're done. Minda sensor height is now set from the factory, no need to adjust it. Optimal height is 0.8 to 1 millimeter between the nozzle's tip and the sensor. Okay, that is an animated warning sign. Okay. Now please read the handbook if you encounter any problems. Okay, we're done. So I guess if you move on here. Most common hardware issues. Well, we're not planning on having issues, so let's skip that. What used to be something for the Mark III is filament sensor is twisted. It's fine. What used to be something to worry about for the Mark III is the different thickness in PI sheets between the stickered version and the coated version. So, because the sensor is only sensing... That's going to be so hard to show off. Maybe. So this one is the sticker version, and this one over here is the coated version. You can see the thickness is way, way different. But the steel core is the same thickness. So basically, the PI on this one with the adhesive layer is just thicker than the coated version. So because the sensor is just sensing that steel core, your actual nozzle distance to the surface here would be different. I wonder if the Mini actually asks you, hey, are you using a stickered version or a coated version, and adjusts the offset accordingly. I think in the Mark III you can store different beds and calibrate the offset for each one individually. I wonder if they improved on that. So yeah, we need to get a PI sheet on here. That's why I was grabbing these. I'm just going to start with the coated one. And just like on the Mark III, there are two screws poking out back here. You slide this against these two, you plop it down, and it is in place. And it's actually a bit bigger than the bed. That's interesting. So that's in place. We have a peel to do. Very, very important. I need to get my mic in here real close. Once I can grab this corner. There you go. And we've already got that done. Perfect. You can store 5 in a Mark III. Okay. And we need to plug in a power supply. So actually, no, the SL1 has it built in, and it is. I think it is the same supply as from the CW one that we used yesterday. That's still the power supply from the CW one that's plugged in. And it looks to be the exact same one. Okay, I will still use the one that's included with the Mini just in case. But yeah, it looks like they are, this power supply works for us. And they're just reusing what they know works. And I guess it's a good sized power supply for that. It is supplying the heated bed and, that's the notch, okay, that's the right way up. It's supplying the heated bed and the rest of the machine. You're supposed to be off. And there we go. It's supplying the heated bed, so it does need to provide some power, but since it is a 160 watt unit, and this heated bed isn't all that big and probably not all that powerful, should be adequate. Plus, it's a Meanwell unit, so it's a fairly high quality one. What am I missing in chat? Why doesn't it just measure the difference in thickness when bed leveling? It can't. It's not like, it has no way of detecting the plastic coating. It has no way of detecting that film, because the sensor, again, only picks up the steel underneath. So we are done here. Let's power you on. Bootloader 1.0.0. Marlin. Oh, that was a Marlin logo. So this is Marlin based. Interesting. I thought this was a completely proprietary and Prusa only. There we go. That's better. The screen is all right. Like, viewing angles are okay. They're not great. Would you like to continue? So I guess orange is selected and blue is not? I'll say orange is selected. Okay. Wow, font choice. The status bar is at the bottom of the screen. It contains information about nozzle temp, heat bed temp. Okay, so that's like the start menu or something, or the dock or whatever. Z-axis and the heat bed is already heating up. Why are you heating up? It's set to 35 degrees Celsius. Okay, so I guess it's running a check in the background, I assume. Selected filament, so you select PLA or PTG and stuff. Press next to run the self-test. So that's the, so that was the hot end cooling. That was the hot end cooling fan, and the second one was the part cooling fan. The hot end cooling fan is a bit noisy when it's spinning at full blast. It is by no means as quiet as something like the Noctua set that's on the Mark III. Part cooling fan though is not that loud, at least what I just heard. And stepper noise is good, like it sounds very smooth. You can hear some hum, some vibration. It is not totally silent, and there's some. Oh, that just got caught. Shouldn't get caught there. Yeah, there's a bit of hum there. It's not entirely silent. We'll have to see how loud it actually is during use. They use the motion part of Marlin and put their menu on top. Okay, that makes sense. So it is using end stop less homing. I'm not seeing any end stops here. Is it also using end stop less homing for the Z-axis, for the top? Because it looks like it just ran into something and stopped. So yeah, on the Mark III, they actually said, hey, we don't have the I shouldn't have tilted that screen up that far. The cable's coming out. They said for the Z-axis, we don't have the precision to home it without actually having some sort of a probe on there. So they added that probe. Oh, I can smell the hot end. So 280 degrees. Holy crap, that's crazy. 280 degrees for a Teflon lined hot end. 280. 280. Oh, okay, it doesn't actually heat to 280. Okay. He got me weird there for a second. Was that like an attempt to burn up the PTFE and assassinate me, and with a printer, with a custom printer firmware? No. Dan C is asking, upgrade kit from a Mark II or Prusa Mini. Dan, I mean, the Mark II is still a fantastic machine. I'd stick with that. I still like that machine. I would stick with the Mark II. If you already have it. Minis, we'll see how good the Mini is, but the Mini is probably a very nice machine too. But if you have a Mark II, like, just stick with that. All tests finished successfully. Done. First layer calibration. So we need to load some filament. So it's now preparing for that already at 215 degrees. What filament are we going to use? Should we? actually, I mean, if we are going to use the Swole Pikachu that we printed yesterday, actually the print should be done. I reprinted that. Let's actually use a yellow filament. So we've got extruder PLA. And we're going to load in here. Oh, it does smell slightly burnt, but that's, I guess that camera is also crooked. But that is, I guess, normal for a brand new hotend. So filament is all the way in. We're going to go ahead and load. So, oh, you can now, it's 260 for ASA, wow. So first layer, apparently it is now letting you do it with PLA, PTG, ASA, and Flex with Flex, wow. On the Mark III, it was like, hey, do you have PLA loaded? Okay, it's grabbing. Whoa! Whoa, okay, that sounds mean. What was I going to say? Yeah, on the Mark III, you can only do the calibration with PLA. Here, apparently, you can do it with PTG, ASA, Flex, and PLA, and you get to choose. Purging. Oh, it's already purged, so extruder pretty silent. Color is correct. It does smell burnt, but that's just new hotend smell. Now let's calibrate the distance between the tip of the nozzle and the print sheet. So I'm guessing at this point it should ask me what sort of sheet I have installed. Check the pictures in the handbook for reference. Okay, so we're basically getting to do a yeah, this is just the classic calibration, I guess. Is it worth the price? I don't know yet. This is not a full review. This is just a unboxing. I mean, literally it says in the title. To give an opinion on whether it's worth your money, I need to use this printer for a bit and not just load filament into it. Okay, so that's the leveling. That looks like it's using a 4x4 grid as well. Can't see all the screen. Oh, there. Better. Why no heated bed there? Heated bed is at 60 degrees. Right there, you can see 60 degrees. All there. So that's the prime line, I assume? Yes. That is a bit high. You can see it's not sticking down all too well yet, so we need a bit of squeezer. And this is real-time adjustment. If you have a firmware that has a lot of buffering and you do it through a computer interface, it would have to complete those moves first before you'd see anything, but because this is part of the firmware, it can just instantly override your height, and you can kind of hear the Z-axis stepper motor clicking down. So yeah, now we're getting to a height that looks good. I will show you what that looks like in a second. Yeah, that looks good, maybe a bit more. Yeah, there you go. So I'll take off the sheet in a second and show you what that looks like. Yeah, and that is looking just about perfect. Is it quieter than the Mark III S? So from what I'm hearing right now, assuming that this is like regular printing noise, it is as quiet as the Mark III's or the Mark III in silent mode. However, the hot end cooling fan is whiny. Like you can definitely hear that spinning. So, I mean, it's not loud. It is still a very, very quiet printer, but yeah, these silent fans do make a bit of a difference. So if I grab, please hot end, if you would just move out of the way. There we go. So what we did was basically, you can see it started out up here. That's what it did first, and this is just completely loose. And then as we tweaked the nozzle down, we're starting to see this sticking a bit better, and this corner is almost perfectly stuck down already, and here it's at a good height where it is sticking, and you can see it getting squeezed down instead of laying on top like a spaghetti. So the one that's loose on top here, that's the one from further up where it was not calibrated yet, and then down here this is a good height, and you can see this block that is printing. Probably says it nicer in the official manual, but there should be no gaps. There's a bit of a gap at the bottom, and there should also there should not be any volcanoing where the edges of the individual traces stick up. So I'm gonna call that good. We could maybe go down a bit further. This texture cheat is very nice for this sort of stuff because it really grips onto your filament, but I'm gonna call that good and printable. Does this bed scratch easily, Peter is asking? It does not. So this is a powder coat of PI, and this is a very, very robust surface. Of course, if you take a knife to it and try to scratch it and score it, it will scratch. But in general, it is pretty robust. Like you can jam your nozzle into it, but you shouldn't drag the nozzle across it. That might leave a mark. Do you want to repeat the last step and readjust the distance between nozzle and heat bed? No, we are done. Calibration successful, happy printing. Alrighty then. What kind of ambient temp for the room? Well, I'm nice and warm, so it's probably like 21, 22 degrees in here, so that's just regular ambient temperature. So for PLA, that doesn't really matter. For PTG, you probably shouldn't print it in a totally cold room. And for ASA, put the print in a box and just eliminate any drafts and kind of keep it at a constant, at least like 30 degrees Celsius for the ambient temperature. Did I select the bed type? I did not see where I would select a bed type. So let's see what we can find here in the menu. No USB plugged in, so we can't even select that. Preheat, filament, calibration, settings. Factory reset, firmware update, filament sensor is on. Guess that detected it. Timeout on, LAN settings. So this thing has an Ethernet port. Did I have Wi-Fi? I think I asked that before, but doesn't look like it. Save crash dump, timeout, okay. We'll just leave it at that. Info, what's in here? System info. CPU load, okay. Version info. Firmware 405, bootloader 1, and bodyboard version 102. All right. So I'm guessing this is it. I'm not seeing the option where to choose which bed we're using. But yeah. What's the max print volume? It's an 18 centimeter cube. So just slightly smaller than most printers. Guessing at this point, let's go ahead and slice something, right? Wi-Fi can be added with a chip. Yeah, so let me show Prusa3D.com. Not drivers. We will be looking at drivers in a second. Our 3D printers. We've got the Mini. So it's 380 euros plus the upgrade. So this one is, let me just spec out what we have. We have we have the filament sensor and we have no bundle. So it's 430 bucks plus shipping, I think. But because this is shipped from Prague, from inside the from inside the EU, for me there's no VAT or no imports or extra VAT included. That is the price, including VAT, that I'll pay if I were to buy one. Printing area 18 centimeters. Ethernet, optional future ESP Wi-Fi upgrade. Yeah, that's the image I saw with the ESP module in there. But that is just, oh, there's my video down there, and Joel's, and Joe's, yeah. Cool. Safety features: 3 thermistors, fan RPM monitoring, high quality power supply, and self-diagnostics. Where are 3 thermistors in this guy? 1, 2. Oh, and I guess on the bed in the connector area, just to make sure that no wiring is burning down. So cool. Try to warn him. Hoping for a benchy. What are we? You can't choose beds yet. Okay, thank you. Cool. So no confusion there. From this point out, I'm just gonna forego any manual that is included because I feel like I know how to print on a Prusa. So first thing we're gonna do, we've got Prusa Slicer installed, but this is an old version, so let's grab the newest one. Is this going to be... Yeah, no, this is going to be English, that's fine. Drivers and software. I did kind of complain about having to sign in for the Shooterbox download yesterday with the Mars Pro, because that's a separate company from Elegoo, where Shooterbox provides the software and then you download it and select the Elegoo profile from a bunch of available ones. With Prusa, they are providing the drivers in that package as well, because it's them who's developing that on the basis of an improved SlickThera version and obviously firmware, Marlin, all that. But they are providing the software and a optimized set of profiles that goes along with it. Lead time is still an eternity. Lead time is still 4 months, yes. Obviously, production was a bit slower during the COVID-19 shutdown. And apparently demand was also a bit higher during COVID-19. I've also seen that on my videos where people were watching them a lot more than before the lockdowns were enacted. So yeah, I'm pretty sure that they're working as hard as they can on getting these out under safe production conditions. But yeah, that just means lead times are still kind of crazy. But I mean, they are going to stay crazy, so better order now if you want to get it this year. Test objects we don't need. Windows drivers we also don't need. We're not plugging it in. Install. The software does have an updater. I just want to make sure we've got that out of the way, because this is what you would do if you were to install this thing from scratch. Are they open source yet? So let me see. 3 model. Somebody can probably answer that. I mean, the Mini is supposed to be open source. Guides, Prusa Slicer using the printer. It was supposed to be open sourced once it's released. Let's just see. Polygon, Prusa Slicer, Marlin, firmware SL1. There's the buddy board, original Prusa Mini. So there is the hardware. Step files for mechanical and printed parts, and STL for the printable ones. So that's out there. I'm not sure if there's a BOM or something available, but there are the sources for the heat bed, including the PCB layout, infrared sensor, which is the filament sensor, I assume. So yeah, the parts are there. You can build one in under 4 months. Yeah, I mean, the proprietary parts that you're going to have to get is, I guess, some sort of a hotend, though I'm sure you can adapt pretty much anything there because the mount looks fairly simple, actually. Screen, board, and that's it. Like, everything else looks to be pretty standard parts. Yeah, and the heated bed, but you can get small heated beds like that. So yeah, let's grab a file and slice something. You opening? Yes, you are. Configuration update available? Yes. So we're going to hop into the configuration wizard. So let's move that over here maybe so it's not being covered up. Next, we have the Mini with the stock 0.4 nozzle. That's it. I'm keeping the, why can't you touch scroll in here? We're keeping the configuration for the other printers that we have set up. We don't need an SL1 for now. You can actually grab, that's interesting, you can grab Creality in the 3 profiles. Don't need those for now. And load spot. Don't need a custom profile, filaments. Yeah, cool. Check for updates, update automatically. Yes. View mode. Oh, we're going for expert mode. For sure. And now we have the original Prusa Mini that we can just select. And we've got PLA. Let's just go for generic PLA. We're doing... Okay, so it doesn't have the 0.3 millimeter profile or the super draft profile. I think it's 0.3 on the Mark III. But yeah, it's still got all these super fine ones. 0.15 quality, that looks good. Let's grab our Pikachu. Should we do the Pikachu? Yeah, you're too big. You're definitely too big. Look at that. I can rotate. Isn't that magical? When you can just grab a model and rotate it. Like, let me demonstrate. You can just rotate a part. You can just do that, or you can do it with a touchpad as well. That's how it's supposed to be, right? You can scroll in and out, and yeah, you can even 2-finger. And if you want to move something, you just use the move tool and you move it. Oh, yeah, you have to grab the handle. So, I mean that's why I was complaining about sheet to box yesterday, because it's just unnecessary. This unnecessarily complex. Do we really need to? Do we really want to print this? So even if we scale you down to like 25%, which might be a bit small, like 35. Let's try that. Whew. How long are you going to take? An hour, 11 minutes. That's not too bad. I mean, that is going to push it. Oh, that tail is going to be tasty. That tail is just like 2 infill lines. What if we enable supports? Let me see how long this is going to take. Print a benchy. We've done so many benchies. Oh, that is a lot of supports. That's 2 hours. Nah, that's too much. Prusa Slicer now does do custom supports, so you can create supports just in the spots you want, but yeah, this thing is not printable without supports, unfortunately. Suggestions for printable parts. Vase mode. Ooh. Select our supports are, yeah, they do have, it might be in the beta version though. But they do have that option where you just click the model and it adds supports there. Cube, no, we're not. Jose, we're not printing cubes. No. Surprise Pikachu. What is the Kali cat? Let me Google that in private here real quick. Calibration cat. Well, that's just a calibration cube with extra steps. $20 mil, $5 mil, when those dimensions aren't even something you should be calibrating for. So, only 45. I would rather do a Benji than that. Oh God, chat is going crazy. Baby Yoda. Electrical tape. Frog. Baby Yoda. I've seen the Baby Yoda. Let's explore together. So let's install. Let's check out Prusa printers. There we go. Too lazy to click the or to type in e.org. Let's do popular. We could do a quick face shield, but I'm not sure if the Mini is big enough for that. There's that's a nice shelf. I wonder who designed that. The pug. There's the frog. You know what? Let's do a frog. Let's do a nice yellow frog. And because that's only using 5 grams, I think I'm actually going to download. I'm going to download the file for sure, but I think I'm actually going to grab. Wait, no, I want the STL. I want the STL, man. I don't want a G code. Thankfully, you are working again. Oh, it's tree frog, right? Tree frog? You don't... Oh yeah, you are the original. Okay. Where thing files? Thingiverse is weird. I was wondering why that file was so big, but apparently the STL is just as big. There we go. We are at print time. Oh, there we go. Hour and 10 minutes. So this should be nice and challenging. So let's grab our USB drive. So apparently there's an issue going around with, well, it's like an occasionally something's going to happen. Well, let's do export to stick. Where there's issues with USB drives with the Mini. Let's see if we run into that. And if we do, oh, I clicked export here, by the way. And if we do, we know what to look for. But apparently this stick has been chosen specifically for that. Frog is on the stick pre-compiled. I want to slice my own stuff. I'm not a fan of doing pre-compiled or pre-sliced and pre-vetted files. Oh, okay, it auto-detected that. Now this is not a touchscreen. This is just the click wheel screen. I mean, I don't mind either one. Like this is very noticeable clicks on the wheel. So if this menu is well designed, and that's going to have to be something that I figure out while actually using this machine, I think having a click wheel can be just as efficient, if not more efficient, than having a touchscreen. Because, for example, for setting temperatures or for moving axes, you can just keep scrolling and increase a number and decrease a number instead of having to click, you know, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10, plus 10. Raise the hotend. The hotend is raised. There is enough of a gap down there. Right, cool. So we will just wait for this to unload And is it preheating? Oh, it is also preheating the bed. That is interesting. So it's automatically set the bed to 60 degrees. I'm guessing it's just, I am going to say that is pretty smart, because when you change filament, when you unload filament, normally you are going to print something. You're preparing for a print. So it just automatically also preheated the bed. So when you are actually starting a print, it's going to be there faster. That's nice. So I want to try this stuff. This is the Galaxy Purple. I think that's going to make for a very nice tree frog. So filament goes in, and we go load. We've got PLA. And I just keep pushing. No, gotta press continue. Pushing, and it's grabbed, and it's done. Cool. Purging, so I guess you gotta purge some more. We've got it coming out there, so it's purging the yellow out, and we get the purple. We got the purple. Color is correct. Yes, we loaded purple filament. We're getting purple filament. It would be weird if we got a different color filament. Okay, so we got all that done. We print. So that's our tree frog. Get a preview image. That's nice. So I guess if I slightly angle that screen differently, you see a bit of a clear picture. Extruded cooling. What? Why are you going to 170? Why are you going to 170? Is that like a heat up cycle where it heats the beds to 60 first and only then heats the hot end all the way? I'll tell you, what are you? The hot end fix as described by many users. We'll just see what happens. I mean, we're following instructions for once, so let's try and follow whatever official instructions we're getting. Let me Google that fix in the meantime. You know, if it shreds itself, then Prusa Mini hot end raise fix. Under extrusion and clogging. Remove the PTFE. Oh, this is a brand new printer. This should be cap. Okay, okay. So apparently raise the hot end as in it's not in the heatsink at the correct height. But again, if this is already on the wiki, then or in the common issues, then I assume a printer that was made literally yesterday. Look at the production date. Yesterday, May 28th. I would assume that this was made to, you know, all the current fixes and updates that were discovered. Alrighty then, we're printing, and we got little leggies that are coming out perfectly. Yeah, height is looking good, and it is very nice and quiet. I am liking that. Yeah, it's just that you can hear the fan. Okay, we done. We done. We are done. We got a working Mini. Probing temp, yeah. So on the Mark, that's a good point. On the Mark, I'll leave you on that screen. You can see him in the corner. Well, here, on the Mark II, Mark III, on the older printers that have this sort of a probing setup, you would see like just little tiny bits of filament being deposited where it probed. I never thought it would be or it was much of an issue. It was just like, hey, yeah, you basically you blow on the bed and those are gone. But I guess it's little tiny improvements. Right, so why would someone get a Mini? It's just, you know, out of the box. If you just look at specs, there's no reason to get one. Like, you can get a much larger printer than this for $400. It's the fact that you can use it without any mods. That there's, I don't know. Well, I'll have to use it to really figure out what makes this machine special. On the same token, you could say, hey, why would anyone spend $800 or $1,000 for a Mark III if you're just looking at specs and the size? So far, my experience with Prusa as a manufacturer has been fantastic. Their machines have been super reliable for me. Whenever I need to print something, I go for the Mark III. And to me, this is like a smaller version of that experience where it's, you know, something you can just come back to and it's going to print for you. So I will have to use this thing for a while to, you know, really see what makes this special, what makes it different to other machines in that price range that may be bigger, may have more features. But yeah, I feel like Prusa know what they're doing, kind of. But again, we will have to see what makes this thing special. So far, it's been, I mean, just the experience has been flawless for me so far. You know, take it out of the box, follow the manual, kind of cram in some wires. I think that was the hardest spot, or the hardest thing to do, cram in some wires. But other than that, this is a, let me level the camera. That is really annoying me now. This has been a no mods, no issues, you know, everything provided out of the box kind of situation for me. And it's printing, and we'll see how well it prints once this thing is done. So, yeah. Left Blank is asking, could that fan be swapped out before building for a Noctua? I mean, you can still swap it out. It's 4 screws on there, and that should make this thing a bit more quiet. Since it is a Teflon-lined hotend, I don't think you need all that much cooling for it to work. So I'm pretty sure you could just drop in a 40. Is that a 40? Is that a 40? Yeah, that's a 40 millimeter fan. You could just drop in a 40 millimeter Noctua, and yeah, that should be a lot quieter. Yes, this is TMC 2209. You have to specify stealth mode in the slicer. So you can change it in the... You cannot change it while you're printing? Flow factor, live adjust, change filament. No, you can change filament, but you can't change it while you're printing. Info? No info, I guess. Messages? Okay, so there's just a log of what's happening. All right. No Wi-Fi, it has Ethernet though, yes. But the web interface, at least the web interface that I've seen on the SO1 is, I mean, barely a web interface at all. So I wouldn't buy it for that. Yeah, Wi-Fi is coming as an upgrade at some point, maybe. Mini doesn't have stealth mode. Okay, so yeah, that makes it. Because I'm not seeing, if I go into settings here on the slicer, printer settings, I am not finding anything that would specify silent or stealth mode versus power mode or just a regular operation mode on these Trinamic drivers. again, it is already a lot quieter than a printer using either a setup with motors and drivers that don't work with each other or run at the wrong voltage or anything. It is noticeable. It is noticeably printing. It's not. I'm gonna go back on what I said earlier, where it's not as where I said it would be quieter than the Mark III. I think it is about in that same range. It's probably as loud as the Mark III. Yeah. Is the fan made by Delta? I don't know. The sticker for the hot end cooling fan is on the back, so we're seeing the spinny side here, and for the hot end fan, I'm sorry, and the part cooling fan has a custom Prusa Research label, so we don't know who's making that. Right then, does it have linear advance? I think it does, maybe. It doesn't have a part cooling fan. It does have a part cooling fan. It is on the back right there. So that is blowing air forward, and you can actually, you can kind of feel the air blowing out the front of the printer. Can I just hook it up via USB and run it with Octoprint? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. There is a micro USB button on the side. Micro USB button. There's a reset button and a micro USB port on the side. Of course, it would have been nice if it was USB-C, but I'll take a micro USB too. So yes, you can plug this in and use it on a computer with a regular host, or use it with Octoprint as well. Which speed is it running? Defaults. Let me look it up real quick. So if you go back into here, we go print settings, we go speed. That's the speed. That's the speed it's running at. So that's for a 0.15 millimeter layer height. And if you go back into the plater, we go into the preview and we go into volumetric flow rate. You can see what sort of filament flow rates we are getting. And if we go in here, you can see the insides are done a bit faster. So you get anywhere from almost nothing up to 6 cubic millimeters a second. And I'm sure if you increase the layer height, you get even more flow than that. Settings for this print, anyone know? Well, anyone can download the Prusa slicer and just slice it for themselves, for yourself. You can just say you have a Mini and it will slice with these exact settings. This is defaults. This is absolute defaults for the 0.15 millimeter quality setting and using generic PLA as the filament setting. What is the max flow in the filament settings? I can have a look, but that is not in filaments. That is in, well, there's max flow down here, which is not set, at least for the 0.15 setting. Let's see if that changes for the 0.25. No, they're also not limited max flow. And is there a setting for max flow? Yes, so 15 cubic millimeters a second is what they are limiting the Mini at least for this generic PLA. Let's see for the Prusa Mini. Yeah, also 15. And 10 for ASA. And 7 for PTG. All right, so I mean, 15 is decent. You're probably not going to run into many issues there. 7 is a bit slower though. So yeah, is that peeling? No, there is no peeling going on. It's just the way that the tree frog looks. There is a pretty crazy overhang at the front of its belly right there. So that is maybe peeling, yeah. Maybe. Back feet are definitely coming up. The back feet are for sure not coming up, I can tell you that much, but the underbelly might be coming up simply because, well, it is a... The front feet are coming up. The front feet are coming up, for sure. Stop. Yes. All right, so what happened? This guy. Why are you not sticking? So the perimeter looks like it's sticking decently well. You also get a bottom layer that looks like it is thorough and consistent. And very blurry. Yes, there. That looks like, if anything, it is too low. But I'm thinking that height is okay. I'm going to give it a quick wipe down with the cleaning pad. And then we're going to try again. Come on. Just as I was saying, nah, I don't think it's coming up. It looks like it is fairly flat though, so not seeing issues up there. But why are the feet coming up? Those should not be coming up, for sure. Right, I'll let the bed cool down for a second. And then we're going to take the included cleaning pad, wipe this down. Might just be a new bed, I don't know. And those just need some bedding in. I don't know, but I've never had that issue before. Cries in bed adhesion. Forgot glue stick. I mean, it's a PEI bed. It should not require any extra surface preparation other than keeping it clean. Yeah, that is nicely saturating. That smells like perfumed IPA. Interesting. So this should now be, you can still see some of it evaporating up front here. Right there. So we are clean. Let's try again. Use the other bed, but then I'm going to have to re-level it. Really hoping this one's going to work. Fingerprint oils, maybe. Don't print small objects on the powder-coated sheet. I don't know, I've never had that issue. Leggies dropping. I've never had that issue on the Mark III's beds. So it might be that this is a bit of a different material. But yeah, you are heating up for the probing. This does not look like it's too low. Print quality for the few layers though looks to be consistent at least. So let's restart this. Wash the texture sheets with soap and water. Finger oils maybe for me happening, for me handling the bed. Activate with acetone. Now one thing we could try is just slap on a a bed from the Mark III that I know works. Because this, we should be able to just let it overhang and slap it on there. Just in case everything else fails, we have these. And this one I know works. So let's get you heated up again. Remaining time 1 hour and 10 minutes, and that is something that the slicer is actually telling the printer. And just for good measure, let me drop you down just a bit more. Clean the nozzle. That's gonna wipe off. Why are you peeling again? It looks like we're sticking down. All right, but let's just retry and see if the wipe down with IPA is helping here. Yeah, no, in Prusa's assembly guide, he directly says to wipe it first. I know, I did not do that. So that might have just been it. Just a quick wipe down. If that was not it, we'll see. Not low enough. We are definitely low enough. When you can see like that slight texture on the surface where it's kind of reflecting light, in a way that indicates that it is fairly low already. Try the smooth. Yes, I will try the smooth if this one fails. So yeah, the sheet is removable. Who's asking? Brian is asking, is the sheet removable? Yeah, so you get 2 sheets in the premium upgrade kit. This is the one that comes with it by default. That's a stickered spring steel sheet. That's just the same steel core in the center, and then a layer of PEI stuck on it with an adhesive film. And this one is the €30 upgrade, which is more robust. But like I said earlier on in the stream, often does not stick as well. The texture does help it, and for general printing, I've not had issues with these on the Mark III, but they don't have as strong of an adhesion as the smooth ones. Do you have an infrared thermometer? I don't have a thermometer with me to check. Still have a foot on the nozzle? I don't. I don't. Nice try. That dropped off a bit earlier because I have both of them here. I have the full print right there. So both feet and the base. So while that is printing up to this size, let's just take a quick look at what we already have here. I mean, the filament is gorgeous. That purple is really nice, and it's also apparently really hard to focus on. There we go. So those layers right there are looking real nice and consistent. How do I... that is going to be really... There we go. So layers are looking nice and consistent. There's the info for you. That's gyroid. So far so good, it's just that I don't seem to have good luck with parts sticking in the... Oh no, it's already lifting again. I don't seem to have good luck with parts sticking down where they should be sticking and breaking off where they shouldn't be breaking off. Just like with the Mars yesterday. So yeah, this is already lifting off. What's the blinking light in the top corner? The blinking light is the heated bed heating. So whenever power is applied to the heated bed, there is a small LED down here that just indicates that there is power being sent into the bed. So let's try the standard bed instead. What color is the example filament? So that is the Galaxy Purple that's included, out of Prusa's own Prusa line. And we can have a look at the full spool in a minute if we get this thing printing. So we will need to recalibrate the Z height. It's still moist from the IPA. So go over here to calibration, go to first layer calibration. It's calibrated with currently loaded filament. Yes, we got that. Let's calibrate the distance between the tip and the print sheet. Do you want to use the current value? I do not want to use the current value because that would slam the nozzle way too far into the bed. So we're now heating up. Actually, we can't adjust it yet. That's going to heat it up, and we can start readjusting this. You need 80-degree bed temp. I've never needed 80-degree bed temp for PLA. So that would be very weird. And it would be very weird if the default profiles wouldn't work on a Prusa machine. I mean, that's always what I've been praising them for providing Prusa slicer with profiles that work well for this machine. If it was any different for the Mini, I would be very worried about that. Add a brim. This is a model that should print without a brim. I mean, it's tricky to stick down, that's for sure, but it should not need a brim. Smooth bed for PLA, textured for PTG. Yeah, so the recommendation for textured for PTG, so this guy for PTG, is simply because, well, PTG can tear apart the stock stickered smooth sheet. It will stick extremely well to the PLA, and you're very likely to just rip a part of that sheet out if you print PTG directly on the surface. With the textured sheet, again, these are more robust, so you can print PTG on these, and it might still stick really well, but you can flex them and break them off without taking the PEI along with it. Yeah, cut bubbles, that's, I mean, I've been saying that, but yeah, the smooth sheet does have a tendency of sticking a bit better. So let me zoom you guys in. And yes, I know we're wasting a few lines there, but and you can kind of visually see the distance between the nozzle and the bed. Just to get it roughly correct. Yeah, so that's too low. When you can see the filament stops coming out, that is too low. I'm going to say that looks roughly like 0.4 millimeters. Yeah, we're going to go to the calibration spot up front here, and we're going to see how well it looks like. So if we see any light bouncing in that, so any white crowns, then we are too low, and if you see any gaps, then we are too high, and this looks good. Maybe a bit lower. Yeah, that should be good. So how did we lift this out earlier? I guess like that. So let me show you again what we ended up with here. So all the way at the top here we are too high, and you can see it's just pulling off. Then as we move down lower, this right there, this one, this is where I set it too low, where you can see there's, it's not opaque anymore. This does stick very, very well, but it's too low. So down here we are at a better height. Where you can see it's sticking down, and this is actually, yeah, this is already sticking down better than onto the textured sheet, but it is not being squeezed so thin that, you know, there's barely any filament coming out. And then down here, yeah, you can see there's no gaps between the lines. Again, we could probably go a bit lower still. I'm fairly confident this should work now. I was going to use the textured powder coated sheet, just because, again, I'm using that on the Mark III for everything, and it is working very well for me. There we go. Do you want to repeat? I do not want to repeat that. So let's print you again. Now this is just, you know, if you have pre-sliced models. Again, somebody commented that there is a pre-sliced tree frog on there. I don't know what they did, whether they, you know, increased the first layer width. Actually, I should probably do that. Or if they added a brim or used some other, I don't know, cheat to get better adhesion. So let me, so I just want to see what the defaults give you, because the defaults are as much a part of the printer as the hardware itself. I want to know how well those work together with the hardware that you get. Let me show you something that I usually do to my slicer profiles to avoid adhesion settings or adhesions. God damn it, print settings, to avoid adhesion issues like that. So what I usually do is I head over into advanced. Let's do the 0.15 quality. And this first layer, you know, is set to 0.42. I just go up to 1 or 1.5 if you're feeling ballsy. But that just really squeezes down that first layer and makes sure it doesn't squeeze it more tightly against the bed, but it's more like smushing it into the grooves and into the texture of the bed. And it also takes up any height issues, height differences that you might have. So if your layer height is off, with a wider extrusion width like that, with 1.5 millimeters, we can actually see that. Did you mean? No, I know what I'm doing. You can see how fat those first few bits are. And even if your calibration is off by a slight bit, you're still going to get a line of filament that is pushed against the bed. It might not cover the entirety of the track, but if it, you know, it's getting pushed against the bed either way. So this is what I usually do, at least with a millimeter, maybe not 1.5. First layer height is also something that can be useful for, it's already a 0.2. That can be something that is useful for very low layer height prints. So let's continue for now. So you can see that's something that they're already doing, where the regular layer height is 0.05, and then just for the first layer it's up to 0.2, just to make it a bit more robust against any calibration issues you might have. There she goes. This should stick. On the Mark III, if the printer isn't printing long, pressing the knob is a shortcut to move the Z-axis. Is it the same with the Mini? I think it is very much the same with the Mini, yes. Not sure if there is a hotkey for holding the knob down while it is printing, because it is actually on the pause button right now. Lausbub, don't you get an elephant foot? No, you don't get an elephant foot, because you're not just... When you're doing that, when you're increasing the width of your first layer, the slicer is automatically compensating for that. Actually, if you go back into the preview, you can see the contour here. If you go into print settings, advanced, and we increase that to a millimeter, there we go. You can see how it's automatically moving in those lines closer to still match the outline of your print. Why is there an offset? Oh, because you can still see how that matches the outline, and again, it is compensating automatically for that wider or taller extrusion. It's not the same as just setting your first layer height lower. That's an entirely different story. There is brim. Yeah, I mean, you could do brim, but I want to see how well it does without brim. Also, Lausbu, please don't keep repeating yourself. Like, so yeah, we will see whether this sticks down or not. I'm hoping it does. Z-height should be good. Yeah, you can also kind of judge the Z height on the front priming bit right there. There. That's a camera autofocus tracking benchmark with a continuously moving bit like that, which the GH5 is not doing too well on. But yeah, once it lays down this line, you kind of get a feel for how this should look and how wide this should be. And after a while, you'll be able to tell whether your Z height is adjusted correctly or not just by looking at that line. Is this PLA or PTG? This is the Prusa Mini Galaxy Purple PTG. PLA, crap. I'm getting tired. This is exhausting for me. And also, I think I missed a $10 super chat 9 minutes ago from Brian Drurov. Thank you for that. Also, a €1 Streamlabs tip from Furiko with a question about printing more with flexibles from a review. Bowden and Flex should be most interesting testing limits for the machine. Yes, the Bowden setup on this machine is probably not that great for flexibles, especially for the softer flexibles, because with this Bowden tube going from here over there, I mean, it's not the longest Bowden tube you'll ever have seen, but it is still a Bowden setup, and you do get extra friction with a flexible filament. I don't think it can do like these super flexible Shore 80D, like the softer types, the 95Ds or something, or whatever those are, 92. Those should be fine, but the super soft stuff, I just don't think the Mini is the right printer for that. And we also had a £2 super chat from Robin. Print a model of yourself. I don't have a 3D scan of myself. I would need to do one first before I can print myself, but I'm not. I mean, including a sticker set with my face on it, that's just not something I would ever do. I don't know. Maybe Prusa would print himself. I wouldn't. What is the filming color? It's Galaxy Purple PLA Prusa Mini. Cool. French fries derp. Is there a better printer for the same price? It's something I will be talking about next week in the Choosing a 3D Printer episode of the Basics series. There is no better or best printer. Like, this printer fills a certain set of requirements, as do other printers at the same price point. Better or worse always depends on what you are looking for in the printer, what the application is, and what skill level you're going in with, all that stuff. Like, if you need a printer that can do 20 centimeter parts with 20 centimeter cubes, then obviously the printer is not the Prusa is not a good option for you because it's too small. If you're looking for a printer that does auto bed leveling, that has good software support, all that, then maybe the Mini is a better choice than another machine that is mechanically larger but is a bit more bare bones. So really, better or worse, it's because I've never called a printer the best printer, and I kind of get upset when somebody does that and just says, oh yeah, this is the best printer right now. It's because no printer is really the best printer, period. It's a best printer for a certain application. Just like I would be saying, okay, that the Mark III is the printer that I use the most, so I guess it is the best printer for me. But then I've got, then that's an €800 printer, and something like a CR10 that just does large stuff also has a reason to exist, because again, it does large stuff, and it's cheap, and that's something that the Mini doesn't do and the Mark III doesn't do. It depends on your application, okay? Right. Okay. Now that we're done with that, I I shall unbox some Prusa Mini in the background. So I'm just going to cut into these nice extra boxes. You're seeing me in the corner there, right? I'm just going to leave the, holy crap, that is a lot of filament. I'm going to leave the close-up of the print in the corner. Prusa Mini, last name of a man from the Czech Republic named after a printer? That's not how that worked. Design a mini Tom. A mini. I'm hoping not saying design a mini. What's that box? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Where's my They said they were gonna ship me a mini. And a bit of filament. Why is this? That's not a filament box. That's not a filament box. That's not a filament box. They lied to me. God damn it. This one looks like it's been opened. I gotta check what's in here. Yeah, no, this is okay. Okay, I thought this was just a mini with some filament included. Nope. Oh, I just bumped the mini. Let's see how well it handles that. Nope, it's more filament. It's just a box in a box. Yeah. I was gonna say, hey, I mean, if they're shipping me two, let's do a giveaway in the basic series. This is just filament. It's just more filament. Okay, how is the print looking after the bump? I did hit it on the head with a box of filament. It looks like the main body's kind of coming up, which is something that's expected, but I'm not, no, if you look at it from the side, you can't really see it. So I'm thinking this is sticking on pretty well. Can you focus on the nozzle? I can kick this thing into manual focus. There we go, and ooh, wow. I'm gonna have to operate the camera from the other side here real quick. It does. Now, can we? How do you get out of this view? If you do exit, I guess like that. Maybe a bit more forward. Like that? Is that better? I sent him an XL. I mean, the XL is kind of an open secret at this point, but I'm not sure. I have zero information how far along that is. Whether it's going to be this year or next year, or whether the plans have been thrown off or something. Yeah, no idea if the when the XL is happening. Yeah, that is not peeling up. At least I'm not seeing it peel up right now. It's going to be curling up slightly. So more temperature on the heated bed would not have been good for this one. You can see the like the arm on the front legs, on the front feet. Okay, coming up. Why is chat so? I gotta see what's happening here. It looks like chat is kind of lagging behind for me. Is YouTube bugging out? Oh, there we go. Okay, okay. Tom has like 3 Prusa Minis. No, I only have this single one. What flavors of filament has? Oh, okay, okay. Okay, okay. Apparently YouTube chat was just completely lagging out for me. I don't know why. I had like messages from 2 minutes ago. So I probably have missed some stuff. Bedding site's still the big deal. The bedding site? Okay, and I guess this other box is. Oh, look at that! It's another. It's another mini. 2 more minis. Quite a heavy mini, though. 1 more mini, which is filament. Oh, there's a like a little box, little packages in here. And the rest is filament. And we've got 1 more mini. Over here, full of filament. So they did send me their entire filament range, including all the ASAs, PTGs, all the colors they have. How do you know this is a Prusa Mini and you're not a giant banana for scale? If you look at some of my, oh, glue stick, nice. If you look at some of my interview videos from Earth, Murph, etc., you can actually judge my height. And I can guarantee I've not grown since then. I've maybe become slightly wider, but I for sure have not become taller. So yeah, this is 3 packs of glue stick. I guess they knew that we're gonna have adhesion issues. Yeah, there you go, 3 packs. Yeah, so there's some filament on here. There is, if you drop this down, there is another mini box full of filament back here. There is 1 more box of filament over there. So that's 2 boxes of, ow, paper cut. 1 more box of filament and yeah, what's on the table here? So it is a lot of filament. Filament was great for busting marketing hype on so many kinds of filament. Yes, Philoween. Maybe you've seen this guy in the background. Once I'm done with the basic series, I can work on Philoween 3.0 and get some more testing on the way. So Philoween is still, it's kind of hibernating because I wasn't happy with the setup and with the way that I was doing the tests. Philoween is coming back for sure this year. I'm just going to say this year. Later this year, we will have more Philoween. Ow, and now I'm bleeding. What did I miss in chat? Most of it is out of stock. They sent you everything. Yeah. Atticus commenting, Prusa released only printed or mechanical part files, no electronics, no BOM. There is no BOM that I've seen so far, but the mainboard and the bed files I've seen on GitHub, so those are out, and you probably can get clones of those already. But yeah, there is no BOM. That's the one thing I'm gonna note too. But the electronics, oh, we can zoom in even further. The electronics are out there already, the design file for those. Yeah, that's printing all right. So keep in mind, it is a Bowden setup. I mean, I can see some curling. I mean, just that part that I printed just then with the little arms where it is starting to curl up. You can also see it on the right side there. So that's going to have to be something we look into, how much that affects the surface finish. But yeah, so far so good. And we are 52 minutes remaining. You can get clones of the whole printer, so it's all out there. Yeah, I guess you can. Physitech are good with creating clones and stuff. I've seen parts for the Mark III. I'm sure mini parts are out there as well. Printed parts on the Mini look awful. Printed parts on the Mini look, yeah, not too great. I mean, they're printed very quickly. How does AutoBed leveling calculate the ZY and ZX skew? It doesn't compensate for that. Right, so what it does is, we've not done that on the Mini, but the Mini hardware supports it. I can show you on the Mark III. Yeah, I don't think the Mini firmware supports that yet. That's still something that's going to need to come via an upgrade at some point. I mean, in this, there we go. In this calibration wizard, I've not seen the skew correction. So what the Mark III bed has, so this is the bare PCB. It's not the spring steel. It has these dots. There's one marked here, and then there are more embedded in the surface, which I actually can't find right now. There's one more there, there's one more there, and there. So those spots it can actually sense with the sensor. It's going to go over them, it's going to detect where those spots are exactly. So for that, it is correcting the skew, basically X, Y. So if the X and Y axes are not perpendicular to each other, it can correct for that. And that's just because the PCB is made to a very high precision, and it can sense those spots that are just embedded in the PCB, and when something else in the printer is off and something is skewed or somehow misaligned, it is going to sense a deviation from the ideal positions those spots should be in. And then the rest is basically just done with a complete measurement of the bed surface and fitting a plane in there, and then it can compensate all the other ways that this stuff could be skewed or misassembled. How does this compare to the CR6 SE? Well, this printer is out and shipping, and the CR6 SE is not. So I think that's like the biggest comparison we can make there. Is there a script to generate variable sizes of print beds yet? Probably, but I think this would mostly be handmade still. BLR Rocket, this is the Prusa Mint Galaxy Purple. That's the sample that was included. So Yeah, Mystic would be the one with the flip-flop color effect. I gotta see if I can find that. We've got opal green. That's more of a dark green. Yellow gold, carmine red, urban gray, mystic green. There it is. So mystic green, for comparison, that is an actual flip-flop two-color. Yeah. Did you also get Galaxy Black? Yes. They did include Galaxy Black as well. What is the speed? What's the speed? The speed is the stock, which you can look up in the default, which you can look up in Prusa Slicer if you have that, and just select the Mini as your printer. But it's around, I mean, it's between 30 and 80 millimeters a second. Prusa Mini versus Ender 3. Well, the Ender 3 is slightly bigger and cheaper, so if that's what you're looking for, and don't mind, getting a more bare bones and slightly less feature-rich machine, then go for that one instead. So, may I divert your attention for a second? We have Mystic Green. This Prusa meant Mystic Green, and you can see how that flip-flops in color. Actually, we can. No, we cannot zoom out anymore. So that is the Mystic Green. So as you print it, depending on how your surface is oriented, it's either going to be this copper, brownish, or more this green color. That makes for some really interesting colors on a print, because you are seeing that flip-flopping happen with the curve of each layer. So the curve of the model itself also matters, but each layer also has that same curve. So yeah, it has a very interesting surface finish on prints. Not a fan? Well, you're human. 2 fans on this printer. Why is the Mini not available as a complete kit? So that is apparently something that they decided that it would be more effort to support people building the kit and making mistakes along the way, versus optimizing the printer to be assembled at their plant in Prague, and just basically swallowing the cost for the assembly for every single machine, versus and being more efficient at it, versus supporting people assembling them themselves. Yeah. What does the Mark III have that the Mini doesn't have beside the size? So the Mark III, what does the Mark III have? One of the big features of the Mini is the 32-bit platform. So obviously, if I go back to autofocus, will it? Obviously, Mini is running a 32-bit custom mainboard and based on Marlin firmware-ish software. The Mark III runs on 8-bit. However, the 8-bit platform that Marlin, or the Mark III, runs on is much more feature-rich at this point, simply because it's been maturing for much longer, and like the background of what's happening behind the scenes just has a lot more polish to it, I guess. I gotta look into how much of Marlin is actually running on the Mini and how that plays into all that. It's just it's a more mature platform on the Mark III, but then again, it's also a more limited hardware platform. Mark III, what else? Mark III has an all-metal hotend, so Mark III uses a slightly customized E3D-V6. So you can go all the way to the super high temperature materials like, I don't know, PC or PCABS polycarbonates that you want to print at like 280 or 300 degrees maybe. What else are you getting? What else are you getting? You're getting a printer that is mechanically, I guess, slightly more robust, more rigid. It doesn't have this long lever that's sticking out, so if you bump that, obviously you're going to see that in your print. Yeah, it has stealth mode on the drivers. Has that, which apparently the Mini does not have, or it does not have yet. What else are you getting? I'm not sure if the Mini has power failure detection. If it has power panic, yes. Mia's son is pointing that out right now. That is done through custom circuitry in the Mark III's power supply. I'm pretty sure the Mini can't really do that because once that runs, once it detects power running out at the power supply, it has very little time to react. Direct drive, yes. So Mini is Bowden, obviously. Bowden fits, so it's not going to be that great for flexibles. But it does have a lighter toolhead. Yeah, so I guess you guys can point out well, the other stuff that I've missed, but no MU plan for the Mini? Probably not, yeah. Scott, should it have power loss? Should it have power loss recovery? It has it in software. Okay, so Scott Lethine, developer of Marlin, he should know his stuff, and if he's saying, hey, test the power panic, then I guess that is something to trust. Okay. I'm just gonna click that name real quick and make sure it's not an impersonator or something, but I mean, it looks legit. Let me look it up on the Prusa website real quick here. I don't want to ruin this pretty print now that we do have it running. Prusa Mini Power Panic. Original Prusa Mini. Okay, this is set to, there you go, software-based Power Panic. Oh yeah, this translation is rough. Okay, I mean, Power Panic? Let's try it, I mean, a little excitement can't hurt. So, I'm gonna zoom you guys out. There you go. There's our power supply. And yeah, let's see how well it worked. Now, I'm not gonna leave it sitting for long because I don't trust the hot end to not clog if it's left for too long. Let me see. Verify. Loading. That doesn't look like it has power panic, guys. Yeah, like that's not resuming. That is not resuming. Okay, software-based power panic. Let me switch that over to English. Do we need to hover over that? There you go. Software-based power panic. Huh. Interesting. So I guess this does not work yet. And there's our print. We're going to let that cool down. Enable resuming. Do we need to enable this? I don't know. Where would I enable this? Okay, while this cools down, let's check the manual. There's no that option yet. What let me see if we have the manual still open. Handbook. Okay, so let's do Control F and search for power. Disconnecting power supply, power outlet. Let's do power pan. No. Panic. Spanish. No, that's not what we want. Power. Power cord, power supply, power switch. Place the power brick when we can trip over it. Do not pull the power plug from the printer directly. Yep, the power supply has a locking mechanism. Pressing the reset button equates to quickly toggling the power switch. Printer keeps track of its currently loaded filament. Pull out the power switch. So, power panic does not work. At least in this one, yet. All right, so let's have a look at what we got printed on this tree frog. So yeah, don't trust Power Panic yet. Now, Power Panic is not a feature that I usually worry about because our grid here is relatively stable, and if it goes out for like 15 minutes, which it has done like a few months ago, but we don't get those little power hiccups where the power just goes out for a few seconds, which is what Power Panic would be really useful for. So I don't usually pay attention to, there we go, to those features much. They're nice to have, for sure. But if it's on the website, if it's on the official Prusa website, like it should have Power Panic. I mean, if it says it does, it should have it. So for what we have, first of all, so the things to look out for on this kind of half-eaten tree frog, the things to look out for is this overhang on the bottom here. If the cooling isn't sufficient, that really likes to curl up, and so far this is looking very consistent because that is if you look at it from the side, that is a very steep overhang. That's like I don't know which direction you calculate it, but it's like a 60-degree overhang. On the legs, on the front legs, you can kind of see, there you go. You can kind of see how it was slightly curling up, but those are also very small bits and do have quite an overhang angle. Do I have a tree frog from a previous print? I am not sure, but yeah, surface finish so far, pretty good. Top, you don't need to see my hairy arm in focus. Top surface finish, except for that one blob, I don't know where that is from. Top surface finish, even for internal surfaces, it's looking good. I mean, the filament is pretty too. There's no, what I can see is that there's really no like stepper artifacting where you would see the individual steps somehow being visible. That's really nice. So they've really got the TMC 2209 figured out in combination with these stepper motors they're using. So that seems to be a really good combination, because usually you can at least see like some rippling on the surface. There is just none. I mean, the only rippling I'm seeing is interlacing, aliasing from my camera sensor with the layers, but that is looking really smooth. Yeah, overall print quality, from what I'm seeing, there's a bit of a hairy string that just flew off, and on the leg back here you can also see just a bit of stringing, ever so slightly. It is a Bowden setup, so you will get some amount of stringing. Infill's looking good too. Yeah, guys, I know what the blob is like, obviously, but I'm playing with y'all. Yeah, it's half of a tree frog. It's looking good as a print. There's a firmware for Power Panic. Okay. You see what's... Let's Okay. What is confusing me here is expectations and how you're kind of conforming to expectations that you have set previously. So there were two expectations that I had with this machine with the power panic. Is first of all, it says on the website that it has power panic. If it was like, hey, you need to update the firmware for that, I would have expected that to be a note there. Also, on previous Prusa printers like the Mark III, whenever you start a print, or whenever you insert a drive that has a newly sliced model on it, it will, well, in this case, because it can read USB quite efficiently, I would assume it has that feature too. But on the Mark III, if you load a G-code with a that has been freshly sliced, the slicer will actually check online for a current, at least that's the way I understand it, will check for the current firmware. So I would have expected on a 32-bit platform that you would need, that you would get that warning too when you plug in the thing and you grab a fresh G-code, that it would, remind you, hey, there's a new firmware available. It does say that it is coming in the future update. Let me double check that real quick. So where were we at? Original Prusa Mini, are we? Power panic. Oh, okay, so it does say down here, future software upgrade. That's in the notes down here. Where do we see power panic? Where do we see that feature just a minute ago? Was it on here? But that takes us to the same shop. I could have sworn if you scroll back, you're still going to see it. Oh yeah, there it says. There you go. Original. That's not the shop site. That's the announcement video. Okay, the announcement video, the announcement page. Software-based power panic. And then down here it says future software upgrade. Okay. So got trolled there. Got trolled there by Scott Lathine. I don't mind. We got a printout. The print is looking good, at least the part that we did get. Yeah, so far it looks like the Mini is still kind of very much depending on, hey, we're going to implement these things in the future. Power panic, Wi-Fi is going to be an add-on that you can plug in an ESP to the main board and then get Wi-Fi functionality. For now, you get Ethernet. I don't know how well the Ethernet interface works yet. Again, on the SL1, it's been very Spartan and just basically a status monitor. Same info you'd get on the screen. But yeah, so far, it works, it prints. I'm actually, the thing that I'm most impressed with is not the assembly, which was okay. I mean, it was well described. It was 3-4 screws. Mechanically, like, yeah, it's a cantilever printer. You can see how, obviously any movement here is going to get amplified, so you shouldn't really be moving or touching the printer while it's doing its thing. But what I'm really surprised about is the print quality. It's just this good. Like, I know I'm looking at half a frog here, but the quality that you get, just the consistency of the layers is extremely good. Like, this is better than the Mark III. I'm gonna have to do a comparison print, but for now I'm gonna say this print's nicer than the Mark III from just looking at this frog butt. But yeah, so far so good. I'll be using this printer in the upcoming Basics Guide series. I can't believe I got trolled that hard, but I'll be using this printer in the upcoming Basics series. This and the Mark III will be my main two workhorses for that, so I'll be getting some more hours on this machine. I'll be getting some more experience with it, and I'll see what it can actually do. Let's do a few questions from you guys, because I see chat scrolling by while I'm trying to be consistent with the stuff that I say about this printer. Check full specifications, yes. Future upgrade, we did that. When you use cheap filament, it will string a lot. And that's when you use wet filament. So I think Stefan has done a few videos on that, on drying filaments properly. PLAs do benefit from being dry as well. It is a real issue with PETG. So if you use cheap filament, it might just not be dry. So give that a try. OTA upgrades. I don't know if the if it does OTA upgrades to Ethernet. It does say on the website they can just send firmwares through it to it through Wi-Fi or through Ethernet. But again, I'm not sure if that is supported yet. Prusa instructions are like Lego instructions, yeah, especially with the, where's the cheat sheet? With this thing where it literally has the Lego style, hey, this is what your fasteners look like in there. Where practical printing is doing beta testing and stuff. It's coming. Okay, yeah, I guess. RXR ESP32 based 3D printer controller usually sucks. The thing is, this is using an STM32, so it's using a full. Well, I guess the ESP is also a 32-bit controller, but it is using a real processor for doing the motion and for doing the screen and all. How much of control do you have? Not much. But for doing like the stuff that is commonly referred to as the firmware, that is done through the STM32. It's doing the same jobs that the Atmel at Mega 2560 used to do on the old boards. So that's what the STM32 is doing, and then you can plug in an extra ESP32 to just handle the Wi-Fi functionality. So really that's probably just going to provide a web server, and it's then communicating with the board and just saying, hey, this is what the dude on the other side of the web server did, or in the web browser did. Can you do that for me? And they communicate like that. And yeah, the ESP is really just for that web interface. What's new with the Mark 3S 3.9.0 update? I don't know. I don't have Mark 3S, but I'm sure the update is also working for the Mark 3. Does this work with SD cards? No, it does not. You get a USB port on the side. And that is it. So there's the connectivity on the side. USB port for plugging in a drive, and then the micro USB where you can plug in to a computer and use this as a printer slave device, or you can plug this into a Raspberry Pi and use it with, use it with Octoprint. So that's what this thing does. No SD card, though honestly I don't care if it's SD or USB. Either one works just fine. Cool. Yeah, and I think that's it. I think we've made it through. Are you not worried about consuming the fumes when you print plastics? With PLA, I'm not that worried about it, but you probably should open a window in either case. All right, that's, I think, gonna be it for me for today. We got half a frog out. Again, let me show you those nice consistent layers. Maybe. There's the screen. There we go. Those layers look very consistent. So I'm gonna give it that much. I will need to do more printing and more researching and more testing on this machine to really come to a conclusion. And even at that point, it's probably going to be like, hey, yeah, I mean, there are software updates coming. But yeah, Power Panic is not one of those that is implemented yet. Thank you all for coming along for the ride. I will get to producing those basics videos starting tomorrow. They're going to be released from Friday next week. Oh, one more thing that you guys can check out. Actually, let me show you here. We've got little. There we go. We've got little tiny burbies on. No, that's the wrong channel. There we go. We've got little tiny babies under the roof of our house. There we go. We've got 3 blackbirds nesting, and they've hatched about 9 days ago or so. So go and check that out if you want to. Just if you need something just to kind of look at innocent little babies getting fed and getting bigger every day. It's quite fascinating. Just a side note. But yeah, thank you all for being here. Thank you for everyone who has been helpful in chat. Again, I want to point out that I have some of the best people in chat, some of the best viewers. Very helpful. Thank you all. Scott, like, why are you trolling me? I know. It's all good. Yeah, thanks for watching, and we will see you later. Goodbye. Oh, I'll post the link to the birds in the chat real quick here. See ya.